This is the onset of autonomic arousal. Your body, failing to effectively filter the environment, interprets the sheer, unfiltered volume of data as an immediate physical threat. Your cortisol baseline has been pushed too high for too long. The sympathetic nervous system engages, not to fight or flee, but to freeze in place. You are trapped in a chair, entirely immobilized by the overwhelming weight of acoustic and visual pressure. It is a desperate, uncalibrated protective measure. The system shuts down its external physical movement because it cannot sort the internal static. Let's look closely at the mechanism itself. Let's look at the broken gate. Deep inside the brain sits the thalamus, the grand central relay station for almost all incoming sensory data. In a state of high sensory processing sensitivity, the thalamus acts like a filter that has lost its sorting criteria. Sensory gating is the specific neurological process of filtering out redundant, harmless stimuli before they ever reach your conscious awareness. Research suggests that as cognitive fatigue increases, this gate simply stays open. The physical pain or deep exhaustion you feel in a slightly noisy room is the direct result of your cortex being flooded with unsorted data. It is the neurological equivalent of trying to hold back a flood with tired hands. Understanding this mechanical reality is crucial. You are not weak for needing quiet. Your brain is simply obeying its physical limits. The heavy, taut threads in the room aren't a moral failing. They are the consequence of a system that has been asked to carry far too much weight for far too long. Over time, chronic exposure to this unyielding state of high alert can even trigger maladaptive neuroplasticity, where the brain slowly wires itself to become even more hypervigilant, automatically anticipating the overload before it even happens. So, what happens when the gate is broken and the cognitive resources are completely depleted for the day? You cannot force the gate closed through sheer willpower. You cannot outthink deep physiological exhaustion. But you can intentionally change the math of the room. By turning off the harsh practical lights, by physically removing yourself from the overlapping soundscape, you engage in sensory subtraction. It is a low-effort option. Sitting in a dark, quiet room for 10 or 15 minutes. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to practice gratitude. You don't have to fix anything at all. You are simply removing the raw, incoming data the thalamus has to process. As the input drops, the metaphorical threads in the room slowly begin to lose their tension. They sag. They droop. The deep crease of tension across your brow slowly flattens. It is not a magical cure. The deep exhaustion remains. The underlying allostatic load is still there, but the immediate, painful pressure of the environment softens. It is a quiet, imperfect recalibration. Giving your system the grace of absolute silence, even for a moment, is sometimes the most profound act of self-preservation available to you. Sensory subtraction gives your thalamus a chance to breathe. But what if your physical environment is quiet, yet you still can't shut your brain down at night? What if you are purposefully stealing hours from your own sleep just to feel in control? That isn't a lack of discipline either. It's a specific chemical survival response, and we break down exactly how to fix it in this video right here. I'll see you on the night shift. Right now, your brain is doing something exhausting that you aren't even aware of. It is actively blocking out the world. But what happens when that mechanism breaks? When the hum of a refrigerator, the distant traffic, or a flickering light starts to feel physically heavy. You aren't being overly sensitive, and you aren't going crazy. Your brain's sensory gating system has simply run out of energy. Today, we're going to look inside the thalamus to understand why simply existing in a normal room can completely drain your battery, and the one biological switch you can flip to get it back. It is late. The apartment is mostly quiet. To an outside observer, you are just sitting still in the dim light. But internally, the environment is demanding constant, invisible labor. Every drop of water from the faucet, every passing car on the wet pavement below, every slight fluctuation in the harsh overhead light, Your brain is processing it all, evaluating it for relevance. Normally, a healthy, well-rested neural bandwidth manages this without you ever consciously noticing. You achieve a state of habituation, where the repetitive sound of the refrigerator hum simply fades into the background noise of life. But tonight, that hum doesn't fade. It feels sharp. It feels remarkably present. It feels like a physical, vibrating thread pulling directly at your attention, demanding to be acknowledged by a system that just wants to rest. As the night deepens, the data begins to pile up. What you are experiencing as the room feels smaller isn't a failure of willpower or emotional regulation. It is the direct result of a mounting cognitive load. In the lower brainstem, your reticular activating system constantly scans the environment for danger, passing signals up the chain for review. Normally, your prefrontal cortex uses its executive function to calmly tell the lower brain, "Ignore that, it's just traffic. We are entirely safe." But that top-down suppression requires immense active energy. If you have spent your entire day masking your discomfort, managing complex social stress, or navigating a demanding environment, you are already entering the evening with profound nervous system fatigue. And as that fatigue heavily sets in, the efficiency of your auditory processing begins to fracture. The brain loses its ability to smoothly categorize and dismiss sounds. Every distant siren, every creak of the floorboards begins to register as a separate, competing demand for your attention. The room isn't actually getting louder. Your biological capacity to ignore it is simply collapsing. The invisible web is tightening, and overstimulation is no longer just an abstract emotion. It is a measurable, physical state of being crowded out by the sheer density of your own environment. Then comes the peak, the point where the environment feels entirely unmanageable and physically oppressive. The metaphorical threads multiply, crisscrossing the room, vibrating with a chaotic, inescapable intensity. You might find your posture curling inward, your shoulders hiking up defensively toward your ears, your hands moving to block out the noise. This is where the physics of the brain meet the reality of the room. When the cumulative sensory input over time exceeds the thalamic threshold for filtering, your nervous system no longer prioritizes information. A ticking clock becomes as urgent as a screaming alarm.